The Three Gorges Dam is one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects ever undertaken. Spanning the Yangtze River in central China, this massive dam is the world's largest power station in terms of installed capacity. When construction began in 1994, it was the biggest engineering endeavor in China's history. Over the next 17 years, the project transformed the landscape, submerging entire towns and relocating over 1.3 million people in the process. This massive undertaking aimed to bring huge benefits to China, generating renewable electricity, controlling devastating floods, improving navigation along the Yangtze River, and driving economic growth. But a project of this scale inevitably caused controversy. Critics warned that the dam would displace communities, threaten endangered species, and destroy untold cultural treasures. In this video, we'll look at how the Three Gorges Dam came to be built, its impact in China, and the debate surrounding this monumental project. We'll examine the benefits it aimed to bring and assess whether the social and environmental costs were justified. Spanning art, architecture, politics, economics, and engineering, it's an epic story of ambition and sacrifice. The tortuous history behind the dam project. The idea for damming the Yangtze River dates back almost a century. Sun Yat-sen, the founder of modern China, envisioned a giant dam back in 1919, but political turmoil stalled plans for decades. It was communist leader Mao Zedong who revived the scheme in the 1950s, enthused by the prospect of a huge symbol of China's engineering might. Detailed planning began, but the upheavals of the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution again forced the project onto the back burner. In the 1980s, the dam returned as a priority for China's leaders. Now boasting a rapidly growing economy, China needed electricity and flood control. Premier Li Peng pushed the project through China's parliament in 1992, though a third of members abstained or voted against, alarmed by warnings from scientists. With the scheme approved, work finally began in 1994. The dam site was sandwiched between soaring cliffs where the Yangtze forces through the Three Gorges, the Kutong, Wu, and Xiling Gorges. This breathtaking landscape inspired countless poets and painters through China's history. Now it was set to disappear under an enormous reservoir. Constructing the massive dam and reservoir. Constructing the dam took 17 years and over 27 million cubic meters of concrete. Below the 185-meter tall and 2.3-kilometer long wall, engineers built a giant ship lift and 5-tiered ship locks, allowing vessels to travel further up the Yangtze. As the reservoir began filling in 2003, the rising water swallowed 13 cities, 140 towns, and over 1,300 villages. Entire hillsides were excavated to accommodate relocated communities. Precious historic and cultural relics were documented before being submerged. When the dam was completed in 2006, it was a proud symbol of China's engineering excellence. The pumps kicked into action, driving turbines to generate power from the Yangtze's flow. In 2012, the dam reached its full capacity, capable of producing 22,500 megawatts of electricity, more than twice Hoover Dam's output. It now supplies power to factories and homes across central and eastern China. The dam showcased China's status as an economic and engineering superpower. But even as Li Peng cut the ribbon, concerns remained about the environmental and social price. 1.3 million people were displaced by the project, with mixed outcomes for their livelihoods. Over 100,000 relocated residents remained unemployed years later. There were concerns about lack of farmland and social problems in resettlement towns. Compensation and welfare support helped many to adjust, but some elderly struggled with the upheaval. Before moving forward, do subscribe to Tech Blazer. Beyond the human impact, alarm grew over threats to the Yangtze's ecology. The 600-kilometer-long reservoir submerged habitats, potentially endangering over 400 unique plant species and rare wildlife like the giant panda. The dam blocked fish migration routes, harming populations of the Yangtze sturgeon. It retained silt instead of allowing nutrients to flow downstream. This contributed to shrinking the Yangtze Delta, a biodiversity hotspot already suffering from extensive development. Critics warned the huge weight of water could trigger earthquakes, particularly given the dam's position directly on top of two seismic fault lines. This risk soon materialized when landslides and tremors increased sharply after the reservoir first filled in 2003. Between 2004 to 2007, over 60 unstable slope incidents were recorded in the reservoir region, compared to only 8 in the preceding 3 years. Though no seriously destructive earthquakes have occurred yet, scientists remain concerned about reservoir-induced seismicity from the trillions of tons of water pressing down on the faults. In 2009, rising pressure as the reservoir neared maximum capacity was blamed for triggering a magnitude 4.1 quake centered near Chongqing. A 2012 study found the reservoir water was applying pressures equivalent to a magnitude 6 earthquake on the lower Shaanxi fault. Researchers have urged extensive seismic monitoring to assess growing risks. If a large dam-induced earthquake struck Yichang or Chongqing, the urban damage could be catastrophic. Beyond earthquakes, the dam's flood control efficacy has also faced criticism. Though designed partly to mitigate flooding downstream, the dam has had mixed results during major flood events. In 2020, abnormally high rainfall led to swollen reservoirs along the entire Yangtze Basin. The Three Gorges Reservoir filled to historically high levels, forcing operators to open spillways as capacity became exhausted. Downstream regions still experienced devastating floods described as once-in-a-century events. With such an enormous catchment area, the dam proved unable to contain the sheer scale of floodwaters during an exceptionally severe monsoon. Critics argued this proved the dam's limitations for flood control, though officials maintained it had reduced the flooding's impact. Hydrologists have proposed additional downstream flood storage areas may be necessary to complement the dam's flood protection benefits. With the dam set to operate for decades more, researchers emphasize the critical need for continued monitoring and adaptive mitigation measures as the true scale of environmental impacts unfolds. The Three Gorges Dam will likely operate for decades, continuing to generate huge amounts of low-carbon power. But its full environmental and social legacy is still unfolding. The benefits for China's economy and electricity supply are beyond doubt. However, many question whether these were worth the enormous financial cost and permanent alteration of the Yangtze's ecosystem and heritage. For both supporters and critics, it stands as one of the most profound and controversial engineering feats in China's history. The Three Gorges Dam scale is breathtaking. This monumental structure stretches for over 2 kilometers across the Yangtze, the world's third longest river, dwarfing even the Great Wall of China. It's accrued a laundry list of superlatives since work began back in 1994. The giant hydropower complex is the world's biggest electricity generating station and its largest concrete structure, but its sheer size and impact have made it hugely controversial. The dam has transformed the Yangtze waterscape and altered the lives of over 1 million people. Supporters hail its contributions to flood control, economic growth, and emissions reduction. Yet critics say these benefits came at too high a cost, displacing communities and damaging the ecosystem. As China's energy needs continue rising, hydropower will play a major role, but the lessons of the Three Gorges Dam should not be ignored. Mega projects can deliver transformative benefits, but also carry profound social and environmental risks. Challenging engineering orthodoxies with bold new designs could allow similar benefits with reduced side effects. China is now considering even more ambitious water diversion projects, which would dwarf the scale of Three Gorges. As it plans these new engineering feats, China must closely weigh benefits against costs. The Yangtze has changed forever following construction of the world's largest dam. Future engineers must learn from this epic project and innovate to avoid the errors of the past.